how much does today change the narrative, Stevie, for you, with 7 games to go?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, it changes the narrative big time. Because Arsenal, of all the 3 sides, if there's one back line you can rely on, it's Arsenal's.
Right.
I mean, they look impenetrable at times. You can't say that about Liverpool. You can't say that about City. So, no question, this is a huge advantage for Arsenal. Big time.
Have you changed your mind then, Frank?
I'm almost ready to do so because it's true that I mentioned that Arsenal at the back with Saliba and Gabriel especially, they were the strongest team and if you keep the clean sheet and you don't make any mistakes, you're going to get it. And now they have everything in their hands. So, I want to wait because don't forget that Arsenal is playing against Chelsea. No, I'm kidding. But really, every week we're going to change our mind because something's going to happen. And again, the narrative will have been unchanged. Liverpool would have scored the goal they should have scored today, and would have said, okay, it's a normal result, 3-1, whatever it would have been, and nobody would have said it's a problem. So now, they didn't score goals, so we are the tendency to say, oh, maybe it's Arsenal the favourites. I want to wait because I think the end of the season is going to be crazy.
You can't wait till the end of the season, Frank. It doesn't work like that.
I do whatever I want. We live in a democracy. I'm not living in a magical thing where I know who the winner is going to be. So I'm going to wait if you don't mind.
There's a bit to go, isn't there?
But it's going to be brilliant. It's going to be fantastic.
There's a bit to go, but
but there is a fragility there with Liverpool that there maybe isn't with Arsenal.
Well, there is a fragility with Liverpool because they're so open at times. And I've always said this about Liverpool, particularly this season, it's not quite off the cuff, but it's gung-ho and it's entertaining. And I think they all are, but there's a bit more structure about the Arsenal side.
Right.
There is a bit more, in attack, there's a bit more structure.
Yeah.
And when there's not, they have the best back 4 in the league. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you can maybe debate if they're a better back 4 with Zinchenko or Kivior, because they're 2 different players. One more attacking, one's more defensive. But the other 3, in that back line, particularly the 2 centre backs. And then, of course, he's finally figured it out after the Christmas period that he gets Jorginho in there with Declan Rice, and once again, and it gives Odegaard and Rice a bit of freedom to play. And Havertz is not a bad player when he's playing up front or in the front 3.
Yep.
When he's dragged back into the middle, it just doesn't work. So Arteta's figured it out at the moment, and if he can keep that going, and he's got Martinelli on the bench, and he's got Trossard on the bench, and others to come on that are game changers. Of course, got this Bayern Munich big game against Bayern Munich coming up, who were absolutely woeful in the second half at Heidenheim. I mean, if Arsenal are going to have a really, really bad 180 minutes to not beat this Bayern side, because they are dreadful. And I mean, you talk about crumbling in the second half, Arsenal could wipe the floor with them if they have a good day at the office.
And then, of course, that opens the door to a possible semi-final against Real Madrid or Manchester City. And that's another discussion as to how that might affect the Premier League run-in. Yep. Obviously, Liverpool's still involved in the Europa League as well.
The Premier League, for me, with Arsenal is going to be interesting. How are they going to play when they go ahead? That's the question. Because Liverpool and Man City play one way, right? Whether it's 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, they go that way. Mm-hmm. And they're open up and they play. It's a different ball game when you're chasing, when you're forced to just go forward. Then everyone fills in behind and that all works. When you're sitting in the top of the league and you go ahead and you know that if you don't give anything away, you're marching on to the title. What do you do?
Well, didn't they do that against Brighton yesterday?
Do you mean go ahead in the game or go ahead in the league?
In the league. When you're sitting top of the league.
I see.
And you've only got half a dozen, 7 games 7 games
to go, yeah.
When you go ahead, what do you do?
Do you mean do they start protecting?
Absolutely. What do you do? What's the mindset?
You just got to keep doing what you're doing, don't you?
Well, yes, absolutely. That's what you should do. Unfortunately, Dan, when you're sitting top of the Premier League, your whole mindset, questions start becoming, what do we do? Do we keep doing this?
Right.
You know, that is the problem that Arsenal are going to have. This Arsenal that we've seen over the last 3-4 months, that's been a bit machine-like, it's okay doing that when you're chasing. When you're sat up the top,
right,
It's a different ball game.
Yeah, but it's not. They've not been chasing from a long way away.
But they're forced to go forward. They're forced to win games. That's a completely different mindset than, hold on, we're sitting top of the tree, we're 1-0 up. What do we do?
I think you're trying to find a way with us. If I didn't know better, he's trying to find a small crumb of comfort. I think Arsenal, I don't see any reason, I don't see anything in Arsenal that they're going to change. Right now, they have to figure out why they were average in the Champions League games against Porto and why that was. But in terms of their league form, and maybe it's Jesus on the left going forward, maybe it's Martinelli or Trossard, who the hell knows. Most of the team they've figured out, almost 95% of the team, they got figured. You could make the odd change here and there. Why? I don't see any reason why they would take their foot off the gas being in the position.
Because
Craig,
they never been in that position. And when you are for the first time in that position, you get a little bit conservative.
They were in that position for the bulk of the season until they got injuries.
The last 10 games last year they collapsed.
Yeah, but you can say that it's because of that they got the injuries, that they got something. You know, take a race car with a car driver. When you are in a first position, in a pole position, you always look at your wing mirror and you are conservative and you say, oh, I don't want to be taken over. And when you are second, you go for it. You go for it and you push because you have no choice. That's the thing. And I think when you are first, you start to look in the mirror and you say, well, where they are, you know, and then you don't think about yourself. You start thinking about the others. It's where Arsenal will have to be strong because they never been so close to do it, but they never been first so close to the end of it.
But
so that's going to be tricky.
It works both ways, doesn't it? Because when you're chasing, if you one or two a slip up, you could be done.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we were talking about City at playing against Aston Villa in midweek. Big game for them. Both made changes. It was tight for a bit when Duran got the equaliser, but they knew that a slip up was probably going to see them a good few points behind. So I think it works both ways. At the end of the day, Arsenal will either handle the pressure or they will not. It's quite simple.